right now I'm dangerous.
Yeah, that's a cool... Fred, let's do that again, but can you not do that like Adam Sandler voice thing? All right, I'll try.
Because right now I'm dangerous.
Today we are ranking new metal albums from 2004, starting with Soulfly with Prophecy.
I see the red sea parting from domain.
Big fan of these guys and was surprised at how good Totem came out a few years ago. Title track is a solid opener, banger drums, Max coming in with full fury. Living Sacrifice is a rager, bringing those wailing guitars, love the big solo on Execution style along with that great scream-along chorus. The drummer on this album and Primitive actually worked at my local guitar center and I went to school with his half-sister. Very nice guy. David Ellefson of Megadeth actually did some of the bass along with the guy from Primer 55. Not as good as the first two albums, but definitely among the best here, maybe the best of what we have here actually, but we'll see. I'll let you decide too. Next up we have Otep with House of Secrets. Slipknot riffs, but with the vocals replaced with pure cringe, unfortunately. Otep is by far one of, if not the most annoying singers to come out of the scene, if you ask me. Hunter's here to do his co-anchor responsibilities, apparently. He's also upset that I took his chew away because it was too noisy. He'll get it back.
You monster!
Anyways, she ruins any possibility of enjoying any of this album. She's only gotten worse from here, too. So yeah, this one is going to not good. Next up is Kittie with Until the End. This is the only album with Jennifer Arroyo on bass, and it was written while the band was engaged in a lawsuit with Artemis Records. It's kind of a slow album with a lot of the songs feeling a little sleepy and dull to me. The only single from this album, Into the Darkness, is decent. Sugar and Burning Bridges are also solid. I'd say it lacks the charm or nostalgia of the first two without making any major improvements, but even though it's not one of their better albums, I think I'd rather listen to this than some of the others that we're going to get to. I am going to put this at good tier. I actually did a tier list of their albums not too long ago. Next up is Soil with Redefine. The third album from this band, kind of straddling between nu metal and post-grunge, definitely bringing the Jarl to this list. Hearing some songs that sound a bit like Mushroom Head, like Can You Heal Me, as well as a little bit of Alice in Chains influence, though nowhere near that level. In fact, I don't think it's particularly good and very forgettable. Not awful, just recycling a lot of ideas at this point without adding anything of note, but this is going to okay. Next up, we have Head PE with Only in America.
You back and trying to know that you can't control me. This is punk rock, homie. I'm a spectacle. Come on. But you don't hear me, no. I don't give a fuck.
Really leaning back into the trend of cringe lyrics that will definitely make Gen Z blush. Again, I grew up on 90s rap, so I still enjoy plenty of albums using some of the outdated words and tropes here, like Eminem's early work, but this is on a completely different level when it comes to all that. That said, the music is often catchy as hell, like lots of great grooves, and while the choruses are equally brain dead, I always find myself singing along. I just can't help it. It's kind of like Limp Bizkit, except way worse. On here, I'd actually say it's still worthy of great tier. But yeah, it's kind of like watching a B horror movie. Like, I was laughing out loud, so in a way, it brought me more joy than anything else on this list, potentially. Just don't listen to it anywhere, you might get canceled. Next up, we have Grade 8 with Resurrection. The third and final album from this New Jersey band. The riffs are decent, if kind of generic, but the vocals are like if the guy from Clutch had the same problem that RFK does. Frankly, that gets old pretty fast, but I guess it at least helps them stand out. It's an interesting listen. I'll give it that. I'm going to put it at okay. Then we have Try Kill Logic with The Dead and the Dreaming. Now, I enjoy this New York band's debut quite a bit, but this follow-up is another fall-off on this list, if you ask me. Less memorable songs, crummy production. For some reason, I don't even see it included for the genre in the list I was working off of. An audience member had to remind me. That said, there are decent moments, and it's never bad. Like, Paper Tiger is a decent single, and Buckles goes pretty hard. Living Witness and As Thick as Thieves are also pretty decent. Not the worst thing here. I wouldn't hate re-listening to it. Just get up here. I'm going to put it at good tier. Next up is Orgy with Punk Static Paranoia. I remember my friend's girlfriend bought this without hearing any of the songs, against all of my warnings, just because she was such a big fan of their previous albums. We pushed play and instant regret was we pushed play and the instant regret was palpable in that car. I already didn't care that much for the second album, but this was the death spiral from the top to the bottom in just a few short years. It's not as bad as Otep, but it's definitely not particularly good. Then we have Flaw with Endangered Species. The second album from this Kentucky band, and the last until 2016. And honestly, one of the few bands on this list who seem to still remember the assignment and bring that classic nu metal song. And honestly, one of the few bands on this list who seem to still remember the assignment and bring that classic nu metal sound with opener Medicate. Also enjoy You've Changed and Final Cry on the heavier side. Unfortunately, once more between those, there's a lot of kind of mopier, sleepier stuff that just doesn't appeal much to me. Turn the Tables is pretty good though. I'm gonna put this at good tier if Hunter will let me. Next up is ETHS with Soma. Now, I actually didn't become aware of this French band until 2016's Anka, which was a banger. And circling back, this is also quite good. I always dig a band that screams in their native language. The songwriting is both headbangable and dynamic, and the production is great. Lots of awesome textured drumming and fun bass work as well. Just an all-around solid album from a band that deserves more recognition, and for my money, topped most other stuff in a pretty weak year. And if you want a better alternative with a female vocalist to the kind of milquetoast Kittie record, or again, God forbid, that Otep record, this is well above that. I'm actually going to put it at best. Next is Addiction Crew with Break In Life. Now, alternatively, I almost felt bad adding this Italian band to the list, as they were almost spared the blade until a commenter put them on my radar. I'm willing to bet many like myself would have just gone on never even knowing that they existed, but now I just know them as another really bad example of the genre. I checked out the song Break In first, assuming the top result would at least be their best foot forward. I often use cringe as kind of a hyperbolic catch-all term, but in this case, I actually did physically cringe in embarrassment for them throughout the duration, and single What About isn't any better. What a waste of having both a female and male vocalist. Her voice is pretty solid too, but yeah, this is just clearly not good. Reminder, if you're enjoying the video, hit the like button, and as always, put your own rankings down below. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? This is all just my opinion. But moving on, we have Crossfade with Crossfade. Okay, we are really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, as I cannot be clear enough that Crossfade is just basically a straight-up butt rock band. If they're nu metal, then so are like Breaking Benjamin and Nickelback. I think the only moments I would label as nu metal here are Death Trend Seta, Disco, and maybe No Giving Up. But that said, it's a fairly catchy and enjoyable album, and Cold never fails to put a smile on my face. Like, I sing every word to that one. Rare use of restraint here, too, at just 34 minutes long. I'm gonna go ahead and put it at great tier. Next up is Skrape with Up the Dose. The second and final album from this Florida band, and another leaning more into the rock side of things. Not a lot of screaming, nothing in the way of hip-hop influence. There are some kind of Deftones-y moments like The Ocean. File alongside the others here that are decently enjoyable, but ultimately pretty forgettable. I'm going to put this one at okay. Next up is Damageplan with Newfound Power. The only album from this band featuring Dimebag and Vinny from Pantera. Sadly, this was the band that Dimebag was performing with when he was killed on stage. This was a big album when I was finishing high school, but believe it or not, this was my first time listening to it all the way through. It just didn't appeal to me at the time, and 2004 was a big year for metalcore. Like, maybe if y'all want me to, I would love to do some metalcore rankings by year, but I know some people would really not want that too. Me personally, I'm a metalcore connoisseur. Anyways, really more of a mix of nu metal with groove metal here. Plenty of banger moments, but also some I'm not so fond of, like the singing on Save Me, Crawl, or especially Blink of an Eye. Guest appearances here too from Corey Taylor and Zakk Wylde. It's solid enough, but I stand by my original decision to ignore it. I am going to put it at good tier. Some may call that sacrilege, but that's just how I feel. Then we have Mnemic with the audio injected Soul. Another album I wasn't too familiar with, but this was surprisingly quite enjoyable. So that's another fun reason for doing these lists, is I get to discover new things from you all, too. This is the Dutch band's second album, and it's got some infectious heavy tunes like Door 2.12, Deathbox, Mindsaver, and at times very Meshuggah-esque The Silver Drop. Some of the riffs, too, like on Illuminate, actually remind me a bit of Soilwork. I am going to put this one at best tier. Again, if Hunter stops banging my wrist here, we are almost done, so you can have your choo-choo back. God, I didn't even get it to the right level. All right, there it is. Next up is Nonpoint with Recoil. This Florida band also further evolving in a more rock direction on their third record, and most of it is kind of in one ear, out the other with me. Lots of really trite, bland choruses with dull songwriting. That said, Rabia is a slapper. Easily my favorite song from them in general, and I always make sure it ends up in my new metal playlist. Outside of that, though, this doesn't have a ton to offer me, and unlike some of my friends, I hated their cover of In the Air Tonight. Give me the Phil Collins version and put this one back, please. Overall, I'm going to put this at okay. Then we have Papa Roach with Getting Away with Murder. Again, they weren't new metal at all at this point, if you ask me, but it's slim pickings this year, so whatever. They're a big name in the genre, so here they are. This just feels more like a Fall Out Boy album in terms of sound. I'm not even sure what exactly it is that I hate so much about this sound, but it's just like nails on a chalkboard to me. I am a certified Papa Roach hater, except for Infest. I'm going to put this at not good.
I ain't having that shit.
Then there's Atomship with The Crash of 47. The audience kind of pushed this one on me, even though I consider this also to be more kind of like post-grunge and alt-metal in the vein of like 10 Years or also Chevelle, both of which I left off. Really, the only remotely new metal track here in my mind is Friends, but when it came down to it, I figured it's not all that far off from what that Flaw album is doing, and I think that this actually does that sound much better. It's also their one and only album, so I'll give them their due. I enjoyed it. I'm going to put it at great tier. Next up is Apartment 26 with Music for the Massive. I mentioned enjoying elements of this UK band's 2000 album Hallucinating, but right from the weird use of swing music on opener Give Me More, I was already kind of dreading going forward on this one. Thankfully, there are also better songs here too. 88 is genuinely pretty catchy. It's another one that also feels weird to even call new metal. Frequently, I wouldn't even call it metal at all, but it made the list largely based on songs like New Year's Resolution. Another one that's at least interesting, and I would maybe go back to it to see if elements grow on me, so I put it at good tier. Then there's Drowning Pool with Desensitized. Jason Jones on vocals, and I just stopped caring about them at this point. It's listenable and has some moderately fun tracks like Forget, Hate, and Cast Me Aside. I was listening to this in my car and my wife said it sounds like Godsmack, so I guess you could say that they also went full butt rock, but they're actually still new metal here. They kind of strike a balance. I'm gonna put it at okay tier. We also have 36 Crazyfists with A Snow-Capped Romance. So a lot of people were mad that I didn't include Bitterness the Star in the 2002 list, but since 2004 is again kind of a light year, I will include them here. I still maintain though that there is more kind of like alternative and at this point also some metalcore DNA going on here. Regardless, fun album. At the End of August is a great opener that brings great elements from all of these genres. Also did Kanai with Nothing Underneath and Destroy the Map with Wraith on Clay. Lots of killer bass work on top of the great riffs and vocals. I am actually going to put this at best tier. Quick shout out to the Jay-Z Linkin Park Collision Chorus collab. Pretty big deal crossover and honestly not bad, but it's not actually like a full LP, so I don't really include it on here unless it's that. But we are going to end here with Slipknot with Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. Easily the biggest release from this year, and coming on the heels of the brutal and demented Iowa, you either found this to be pretty cheesy and cringy, or you considered it to be the moment that Slipknot really found their footing and reached a pivotal moment for their songwriting and sound. I'm still very much in the former category.
Let the hate flow through you.
As I've said many times before at this point, I remember spending weeks trying to convince myself that I liked this album, given what a super fan I was at the time. But even when I go back to it now, it just doesn't do much for me at all. I had a first day pre-order, and I've long since traded this record away. Meanwhile, I still see people basically in tears listening to the likes of Duality, Vermilion, and Before I Forget. Different strokes is all. Love what you love, but this was a major disappointment for me, and the moment I stopped really being a hardcore fan of them. Still admittedly better than some other stuff here though, and it should be really telling for this year that an album I don't like very much and had all that to say about still is going to end up at great tier. Y'all check out this playlist for more, ranking new metal albums by year, or this for your personal YouTube recommendation, but that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.
I push my fingers into my